that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. How? How can you take a brown cow and cause him to eat green grass and produce white milk? How can you take a wretched soul like me, messed up and done stuff you ain't been pleased with, and wash him with blood and give him a righteous robe to put on, to tell a story on how I made it over and how good God's been to me? How would you do it? God said, because I love you before you knew who I was. Love will do it to you. Love will do it to you. Jesus' pain was our gain. All this ridicule, all the things that we've done. How can we not serve God? Voices, how can we not worship God? How can we not be obedient to God? How can we not show up Wednesdays and Sundays? How can we not thank him throughout the day? How can we not be faithful in church? How can we not give our lives to Christ? How can we not do it when he did it for us, even in our worst state? One thing about the church is that we got to be careful, is because sometimes being saved too long is that we forget what it's like to be in the world. The danger of being saved for a long time is that you forget that somebody saved you. Somebody pulled you from the dungeon. It's amazing that we got to be careful with church folk being in church too long, and they start looking down at other folk because of how they dressed or because of that behavior. You just had an opportunity to experience God. So the more you know what God did for you, you ought to be the first one reaching up and saying, I love you and thank you for being in church today. And I give God praise for you. I used to be where you are, but God saved me, washed me clean, and turned my life around. And you got to be into worshiping God. We got to be careful understanding the process of God. Every blessing I've ever got came from the cross. Every breakthrough I ever got came from the cross. If it wasn't for the cross, I wouldn't have got the blessing, because the cross caused my sins to die. And it was the resurrection that gave me life